Have you ever felt the weight of witnessing something vanish forever? Not a rumor, not a myth, but a living, breathing species gone before your very eyes. Not in some ancient, foggy timeline with dinosaurs and saber-toothed cats, but in the same era as telegrams, trains, and Sunday newspapers. Because some of the most brutal extinctions in Earth's history didn't happen before humans. They happened because of humans. And the most terrifying part? We're still doing it. This isn't distant history. It's a reflection. And maybe even a warning. Just imagine. Skies once filled with wings, trees once echoing with sounds that no longer exist, oceans once stirred by creatures no child today will ever see alive. These weren't cryptic fossils buried in rock. They were real, loud, majestic, and many of them were loved, but not enough. Some were hunted, some were caged, most were ignored. Until one day someone noticed there were none left. That's how extinction often works. Slowly, then all at once. One generation hears their call, the next only reads about it, and before anyone truly realizes what's been lost, it's already too late. Now you might be thinking, why should I care about animals that disappeared 100 years ago? And here's why. Because this story is still being written. Species are going extinct right now, silently, invisibly. And just like before, most people won't notice until the silence is deafening. But this video isn't about guilt. It's about awareness, perspective. It's about looking back not with blame, but with eyes wide open. Because understanding what we've lost might be the only way to protect what's left. In the next few minutes, you'll hear stories that are almost too tragic to believe, of animals that once ruled the skies, the oceans, the land, wiped out not by natural disasters, but by the ordinary momentum of human life. We didn't always mean to, but the result was the same. They're gone. And in some cases, we have names, photos, dates, last known sightings, the exact moment a species ended. And that hits differently. So stay with me, because these stories will shake you, they'll humble you, and they might just change the way you see every bird, fish, or mammal crossing your path. This is more than a history lesson. It's a reckoning with our past and maybe with our future. We'll begin with a bird so overwhelmingly abundant, so shockingly common, that it once darkened entire skies. To early settlers, it was a symbol of nature's endless bounty. And yet, within a single human lifetime, it vanished. And no one could believe how fast it happened. The passenger pigeon, from billions to zero. Imagine standing in a field in 19th century America, looking up and seeing no sky, just wings, endless wings. Passenger pigeons flew in flocks so massive they'd stretch for miles, darkening the sky for hours. Some said it felt like an eclipse. Others swore the air turned cold under their shadow. They weren't rare. They were everywhere, over 5 billion of them, possibly the most numerous bird species to ever exist on Earth. And yet, within just a few decades, not a single one remained. How does that happen? It started with convenience. Then came greed. Passenger pigeons were easy to hunt, so easy that entire train cars were filled with their bodies. Men would shoot into the sky blindly, knowing they'd hit dozens. Nets, clubs, even dynamite were used. Meat packers salted their flesh and sold it in barrels. Farmers saw them as crop-destroying pests. Children stoned them for fun. No laws, no limits. No one thought they could disappear, until they did. In 1914, the last known passenger pigeon, her name was Martha, died in a cage at the Cincinnati Zoo. She died alone, from billions to one, then to none. Her death wasn't just the end of a bird. It was the closing chapter of a species that once ruled the skies, and a reminder that abundance doesn't mean invincibility. The Great Auk, the penguin of the North Picture, a penguin not waddling in the Antarctic, but standing proud on a rocky North Atlantic shore, nearly 3 feet tall, strong, elegant, black and white, with eyes that met yours without fear. That was the Great Auk. It couldn't fly. It didn't need to. For thousands of years, this bird ruled the frigid waters of the Northern Hemisphere. It sliced through the sea like a living torpedo, diving deep, catching fish with a precision that made it the master of its world. But that world didn't prepare it for us. Humans found them by the thousands. They didn't run, they didn't struggle, they didn't know how. Evolution had never taught them to fear us, so we beat them with clubs. We stole their eggs. We ripped out their feathers. Sailors slaughtered them for food. Collectors hunted them for trophies. And no one stopped to ask, what happens when there are none left? In 1844, on a desolate island off the coast of Iceland, the last confirmed great auks were found. A pair strangled by fishermen, their single egg crushed. They weren't just killed, they were erased. A magnificent species, reduced to a superstition. Gone not because they were weak, but because we were cruel. The Thylacine, the ghost of Tasmania. Now imagine an animal so strange, it seemed like evolution had thrown together a collage. The body of a wolf, the stiff gait of a kangaroo, tiger-like stripes across its back, and a pouch, just like a kangaroo, to carry its young. This wasn't myth. It was the thylacine, the Tasmanian tiger, one of the most unique mammals to ever walk the earth. And we hunted it like a nightmare. When European settlers arrived in Tasmania, fear took over. Farmers blamed thylacines for livestock deaths, often without proof. Newspapers fanned the panic. Soon the government was paying bounties. One dead thylacine meant a reward. It became open season. Zoos around the world fought to capture them, not to protect them, but to parade them. This wasn't conservation. It was exploitation dressed up as curiosity. And all the while, the truth sat in the shadows. The thylacine was shy, nocturnal, and likely misunderstood. But by the time science and law caught up, it was too late. In 1936, the last known thylacine died behind bars in Hobart Zoo, alone, just 2 months after the government finally gave it protected status. Today, grainy footage shows that final creature pacing in a cold, empty cage, confused, forgotten, like it could sense what was coming. The thylacine didn't just disappear. We made it disappear twice, and now it haunts our screens like a ghost that should never have existed, only in memory. The Baiji Dolphin, a death you could hear. She was called the goddess of the Yangtze, not by scientists, but by the people who lived along the riverbanks. A gentle, nearly blind dolphin with a long, slender beak and a voice as soft as ripples on still water. The Baiji dolphin had lived in China's Yangtze River for over 20 million years. She had survived ice ages, earthquakes, empires rising and falling, but she couldn't survive the last 50 years. Fishing nets choked the waters, boats once few became countless. Factories bled poison into her home. The Baiji didn't stand a chance. By the 1990s, sightings became rare, a whisper in a crowded room. Then came 2006, a full-scale expedition, hundreds of kilometers, dozens of scientists. Not one Baiji was found. Functionally extinct, they said, but no one saw her last breath. What breaks people isn't just the death, it's how it happened. Locals say you could hear them cry. Their sonar calls, soft pulses, used to echo off riverbanks. Then, they just stopped. No funeral, no remains. Just silence in a river that used to sing. A goddess didn't die with violence or fanfare. She just faded, unheard. And for the first time in 20 million years, the Yangtze held no voice, only the sound of what we'd lost. The western black rhino, extinct in our lifetime. Some extinctions feel like echoes from the Stone Age, but not this one. This one happened while you were scrolling Instagram. The western black rhinoceros was declared extinct in 2011. That's not ancient history, that's yesterday. iPhones were already in people's pockets. Facebook was flooded with vacation selfies. And quietly, in the background of all that noise, an entire subspecies of rhino vanished. Forever. Why? Because of a lie. Somewhere along the line, people decided rhino horn could cure disease. Others just wanted it on their wall. Greed and myth held hands, and poachers followed the scent of profit. The rhinos were hunted, their horns hacked off while they were still alive, left to bleed out in the dirt. This wasn't a lack of knowledge. We had satellite surveillance, GPS collars, drones, and decades of conservation research. But no matter how advanced we got, we couldn't or wouldn't protect them. Their extinction isn't just another headline. It's a mirror, one that reflects our failure, not just as conservationists, but as caretakers of a world we keep breaking. And the most chilling part? You don't need a history book to learn about them. You just need a memory, because we were there, and we let them go. Final reflection, the ones we're losing. Now here's the part that stings the most. These aren't relics from some ancient, untouchable world. These aren't cave drawings or fossil records. These were living, breathing beings, witnessed by cameras, documented in news articles, counted by scientists. Some were even photographed in the very moment before vanishing forever. They lived on the same planet as us, in the same timeline. Some of them in the same decade you were born. And now, they're nothing more than grainy footage and names in a caption. And we're not done. Right now, as you watch this, over 1 million species are facing extinction. Orangutans swinging through vanishing forests. Pangolins hunted for scales. Axolotls clinging to poison canals. Even insects, the silent engineers of our ecosystem, are disappearing like shadows at dusk. The most haunting part. This time we know. We can't plead ignorance anymore. We have the footage, the data, the warnings. Extinction isn't just something that happens to them. It's a choice, a result, a consequence of what we do or what we fail to do. But maybe that's our chance. Maybe this is the moment where it all turns, where the silence doesn't win, where your generation becomes the first not to mourn the lost, but to protect the living. Because the next extinction story, maybe it doesn't have to be written at all.